Well, we're going to have to add and subtract rational expressions eventually, so let's see how rusty everybody is on fractions. It's easy to add fractions if their denominators match, but what if they don't? In this case, we have thirds and fifths, and we're trying to add those together. Well, we can't do it the way they are now, but what we can do is find a number that 3 and 5 both go into, and that number will be what we call our common denominator. In this case, the lowest common denominator is 15, which means we can multiply this fraction by 5. And if we do that, we have to multiply the numerator by 5 as well. And to make 15ths here, we need to multiply by 3. And if we do that, there must be a 3 up here as well. So the numbers we have now are 2 times 5 over 3 times 5. And then we have 2 times 3 over 5 times 3. Now that these are both 15ths, we can add them together. 10 15ths plus 6 15ths makes 16 15ths. Or, if you prefer, 1 and a 15th. Same thing with subtracting. We need a common denominator for these. Now, what is it? Don't say 24. We can do better than that. 24 is what you get if you just go 6 times 4, which is kind of the lazy way to get a common denominator. But that isn't the smallest one. The smallest one is 12. That's the smallest number that 6 and 4 both go into. So what you're really doing is looking at these and saying 6 and 4. If I count by 6s, and then I count by 4s, what is the first number I encounter that's on both lists? That would be the 12. So 5 over 6, if I want that to be 12, I have to double it. I have to double the numerator as well. 1 over 4, I have to triple to make 12, so I have to triple this as well. So this ends up being 10 twelfths minus 3 twelfths, and 10 take away 3 makes 7 twelfths. Not bad. Now we can make these worse by putting more fractions in at the same time. Now we need a common denominator that all 3 of these will go into. Well, looking at the biggest one, 8 doesn't go into 12, so that isn't it. If I add another 12, I get 20/4. 8 goes into 24, 3 goes into 24, 12 goes into 24, so 24 would be the one. So we have to turn all these fractions into 20/4. For the 8s, that means times 3, and you have to do it top and bottom. For the thirds, we'd have to go times 8 to make that 20/4. And for the 12ths, we have to go times 2. So when that's all over, we have 7 times 3 is 21 20/4, minus 2 times 8 is 16 20/4, and plus 5 times 2 is 10 20/4. 21 take away 16 is 5, plus 10 is 15 20/4. Now, why will your teacher not be delighted, and why will you not get all the points if you give the answer as 15 20/4? This isn't in lowest terms is the trouble. 15 and 24 can both be reduced. You can divide them both by 3. If you do that, you'll get 5/8, and that's the answer we actually want. We're not going to remind you to do this anymore generally. We just expect you to do it automatically. So whenever you get down to your last fraction, take a quick look at it. Think, can I divide these two numbers by 2, by 3, by 5, by 6, and keep going until you've exhausted all the possibilities. If there is something you can divide out, then we want you to. And that's how you get a fraction in lowest terms.